So today we need to talk about Jalen Hurts answering the question many people wanted him to answer for the entire year. Who would you rather take in the NFL draft, Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb? All that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, Jalen Hurts got asked the question many of us wanted the answer to, which is, who would you take first, Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb? And Brady Quinn put that to him on his radio show. Let's take a listen.
You played with Jerry Jeudy. You play with CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to pick one, because there are teams that are going to have to pick between those two.
Right.
Which one would you go with?
Lucky I'm not one of those teams.
You were ready for that, huh? His interview coach had you prepped up for that one?
I don't really need no prepping. You know, what you see is what you get.
Well, how about telling us about the two? Not picking one of the two, but the scouting reports. What do they do well? What do they do differently?
Yeah, I'm actually rooming with CeeDee now, and I mean, look, we've been watching stuff, going over film, and just catching up on certain things, and the drive he has to be great. It's insane. He's a grown man when he's on the field, and he plays like that. He plays with an attitude. He plays with a chip. Jerry is a phenomenal, player with the ball in his hands. Knows how to get open. I mean, he's a sly cat. Ruggs is as fast as can be. Great player. Athleticism is out the roof. Catching ability is out the roof. I mean, he can do it all as well. I mean, I even talk about the one that ain't even here yet. You know, Jalen Waddle, Smitty, and some of those guys at Oklahoma as well. We had a great number of freshmen that did a pretty good job for us. So I've just been fortunate enough to have guys that can make me look good. So,
well, and you made them look good too, man. You did your part as well.
So he punted, which is what we've come to expect from Jalen Hurts. When talking with the media, he's not really going to give you much of anything. Press conferences, radio interviews, TV interviews. He's going to punt, and he's going to make it about the team. He's going to say the most bland thing. But I like the follow-up that he gave to Brady Quinn about, look, Jeudy is a great slot guy. Henry Ruggs is extremely fast, even throwing at Devontae Smith being really good. CeeDee Lamb has great hands, great route runner, all those sorts of things. Look, I wish Jalen understood that we really want him to tell stories. I wish Jalen understood that when he is in front of a microphone with a media person or at a press conference, it's his show. I believe as a quarterback, you have a responsibility to tell your stories and to tell the stories of your team. And I understand his humility. I understand his need to raise the team and the expectations of the team above himself. You don't get to quarterback and be the leader of both Alabama and Oklahoma without that quality. You don't become a captain after just a few months on campus without that quality. But what Jalen doesn't understand is the guy we saw with Steve Mariucci in that great whiteboard segment was the guy that we've all wanted to see. He was gregarious, he was fun, he was charismatic, and he was teaching. Okay? I think that Jalen Hurts is an outstanding teacher. I think he is a phenomenal leader. I don't think right now he understands just how much more he needs to grow from the standpoint of telling stories, because stories are how we remember. Remember John Wick? It's a great movie about an assassin. They killed his wife, or his wife died, and then his wife sent him a puppy. You killed a puppy. You've killed a version of him. He wants his revenge, right? And that leads us into one movie, leads us into a second movie, leads us into a third movie. And we get to this place where he cuts off his finger, and he hands the finger to the one who sits above the table. And in handing his finger to the one who sits above the table, he shows the lengths he is willing to go to so that he has the opportunity to remember his late wife, because the memory of her is worth everything to him. And our memories are worth everything to us. And what are our memories except stories? They are glimpses into the past. As a 32-year-old, I did not watch Jack Mildren play. I did not watch Thomas Lott play, but I know their stories because we wrote them down and we told them and he told them and they told them. We know what kind of a great coach Bud Wilkinson was because there were stories that were told about him and there were stories that he told. And there's nothing more powerful than being able to tell your own story. As much as I love my job, right? I understand that nobody can tell Jalen Hurts' story as well as Jalen Hurts can if he applied himself to storytelling techniques. And he just doesn't. He just won't. And I think that he's not just cheating us, he's cheating himself. Because there's so much more about him that we could come to know. There's so much more about him we could come to understand. And I understand that he knows how to do this. A person that didn't necessarily understand the gravity of the situation, perhaps Kehlani Ricketts, right? I wrote this long-form feature about her for SB Nation for Glenn Stout not too long ago. And at the time, she wasn't necessarily that into talking about herself. It wasn't her favorite subject. And I understand that. So I talked to Patty Gasso. I talked to her teammates. I talked to former teammates like Amber Flores at Seminole State. I talked to Melanie Yockey, who played with her in high school. I talked with Sam Ricketts, who was at Wichita State and who was her sister. And I was able to put together this portrait of what I believe is the best two-way softball player of all time. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell her story. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew just how great she was. And they have the opportunity to remember by going back and taking a look at that feature. You'll come to understand what she means. My favorite magazine piece in all of every magazine. It's The Toughest Coach There Ever Was by Frank DeFord, who's writing about Bull Cyclone Sullivan, who's a junior college coach at East Mississippi. Dude I would never meet, never have the opportunity to meet, but his stories are so utterly compelling. Now, we have people that are telling Jalen Hurts' stories, but they're not telling them to the full extent, and I get it. He's still trying to get into the NFL. He's still trying to establish himself. But one day, his playing career is going to finish. One day, he might be a coach, he might not. But his stories are going to be things that he holds dear, and he's going to want us to know. He's going to want us to remember what he did against Baylor. He's going to want us to remember that he took Alabama to the national championship with a great game against Clemson. He's going to want us to remember what kind of a singular and unique person he is to the sport. And one of the ways he can help with that is by continuing to tell his own stories. So for now, yeah, cool. He didn't want to tell us which wide receiver he thought should go higher or which one he thought would be better. And that's okay. But tell a story about Jerry. Tell a story about CeeDee. Tell a story about yourself. Give us some insight and a glimpse into who you really are, so that there is no mistaking